Hi, I'm Gareth at SIOAAA. Now, in my added value video, I talked about the challenges you can face if you don't properly address your customer's warranty or non-functional needs, and if service design is more heavily weighted towards the utility or functional needs. Today, I want to talk about how you approach this with customers. If we use phrases like continuity, availability, capacity, security, you may well find your stakeholders start to glaze over or run for the hills, and understandably so. Remember what I said in that last video as well regarding perception of value. Now, this will be different from stakeholder to stakeholder, but it can also be different for the same stakeholder depending on the scenario or service. Therefore, different horses for different courses and different horses for the same courses. Let's say you've embarked on a project to deliver a new service to an existing customer, and you and your team have a good handle on what the thing needs to do, whatever that thing is. But how do you start gauging what sort of warranty requirements the service has? If you ask the customer outright, no detriment to all our customers out there, they may well respond to questions like, how critical is this service, with answers like very, absolutely mission critical. Now, not just dismissing that response off the bat, but it's lacking context. And I've found sometimes statements like this are used more to convey a sense of urgency from the customer rather than actually how critical that new service is going to be. Yes, the new service might be absolutely critical to that individual, but how does it shape up to the strategic needs and objectives for the business who users will be using that service? If you ask how available the service needs to be, you might get always. How secure does the service need to be? You might get more secure than the Bank of England. How quickly do issues need to be fixed? Immediately. Now, those responses may well be accurate, but you need to translate them into something that is tangible. The other point to consider is that whilst customers or subject matter experts might be able to articulate really helpfully what the utility of the service needs to provide, they're going to struggle to articulate the warranty potentially. They are not experts in implementing, operating and managing IT services, and that's why they have you. Therefore, they may not also be aware of some of the cost implications it brings in order to support different services to different service levels. As you'll know, in order to provide a service that is supported around the clock all year, that's highly available, highly secure, with unlimited capacity, well, that costs much more money than a service that doesn't need those things. If the customer has bottomless pockets and is prepared to pay for those things, then so be it. But in the real world, we know the delivery of IT services is normally scrutinised to make sure these services can be delivered as cost effectively as possible. After all, there are profits and dividends to think about. So how do you make sure you strike that balance, ensuring your service provides the right level of warranty to meet its needs, whilst not blowing the whole IT budget? In short, providing optimised value to your customer. Well, my advice is this. Within your business, define a set of criticality tiers or levels if you don't already have them. There's no limit on how many or how few you can have, but clearly you need more than one. For the sake of example, let's say we decide we want just the 4 levels, and we define level 1 as being the most critical and level 4 being the least critical. Now, for each criticality level, define objective statements for what the impact to the entire business would be if a service of that criticality would be unavailable for any period of time. For example, you might say in level 1, widespread disruption to more than 50% of the user base, confirmed financial impact equating to 10% of the month's revenue, risk to human health, negative public image, you get the idea. Whereas in tier 4, you might opt for much less severe criticality statements. Again, for example, limited disruption for non-essential activity. These, of course, should be relevant to whatever it is that your business does or what your customer does, what services it provides, your customer portfolio. Okay, so now you should have criticality statements for each tier of service. The next step is to define suitable warranty standards for each level of criticality that, if implemented, would allow your customers to avoid those impact statements. You might state, again, relevant to your business for critical level 1 services, well, these need to be available for 99.99% of the time. that support for these services should be 24/7, and that should a full outage occur, that restoration of that service should be reliably achieved within X hours, and so on. And these warranty statements should cover all aspects of warranty, so availability, continuity, security, capacity, relevant to the criticality layer. So you'd need to consider things like backup strategy, capacity management approach, RTO and RPOs, data storage, information security, particularly where in the world and how this data is being stored, how users authenticate, the level of monitoring, and so on. Now, of course, there may be exceptions to the rule for certain services for certain customers. However, operating to this guide crucially provides a template from which to base your service design from and achieve certain economies of scale from providing a consistent, well-formed operating model that is actually achievable. In those conversations with customers about warranty, using the criticality statements as a basis for your discussion allows you to not get into the very technical jargon associated with warranty, and instead allows you to simply frame the conversation by objectively determining what is the actual impact to the organisation if the utility can't be realised. It also allows you to avoid a very broad and varied complex range of warranty statements, or very ill-defined ones, which makes your IT services difficult to manage. And if it's difficult for you, that most likely isn't going to translate well in terms of customer experience. Again, hope that's been useful. Thanks for stopping by, and see you next time at SIOAOA. If your IT service management is hanging, switch it off and on again.